All right, then, let's get down to business. Nigeria's economic growth has been projected to rise slightly from the 2.9% it was predicted in 2023 to 3.1% in this new year 2024, and that's coming from the United Nations. Charles, how does this come to you? Do you think that with current macroeconomic issues before us at the moment, we'll be able to achieve this 3.1 growth rate? Your thoughts on this?
Well, to be honest with you, a time in my life, I got to realize that, when you analyze certain issues, some of these institutions in the world, I begin to wonder whether they actually has Africa, Nigerian, their interests
at heart
when they give us some of these projections and all that. All these projections are just, with due respect to them, just to suit their own data. But looking at the issues on ground, you will discover that they are not doing their own work very well to give us some of this projection.
Okay.
And that's why I challenge, we have to challenge ourselves. Africans and Nigerians, we have our own institutions that can also do this survey and come up with our own indigenous projection.
But Charles, pardon me to butt in there. In Nigeria, it has been said that even the figures that the National Bureau of Statistics is railing out are not to be trusted.
Okay.
So how do you want to trust a body, perhaps set up by the federal government, to come up with our own projections, to be truthful, if they're not going to dance to the tune of the government of the day?
I agree with you. When you set up such institutions,
yes,
institutions should know their mandates.
Okay.
Some of them, act of parliament.
Okay.
There's an act established. So those who are there, they should know that they are professionals. And when they do their survey or analysis, they should come up with the authentic figures, because you are not helping the government if you try to say things that are not true or what your data did not even support. So if you are going to assist Nigerian government in developing, in growing, in any sector in the economy, then the fair data that is representing what is on ground, that is what should be given to the government.
Okay.
So if I'm appointed to head any government agency that is expected to give government kind of advice, I will not be doing my job if I'm not giving them or telling them what is on ground. So
are you saying you're not going to dance to the tune of your your leaders?
Okay.
And then again, it is a common thing in Nigeria that you cannot bite the hand that feeds you. The federal government who appointed you, the president who appointed you, actually pays your salary.
Okay.
So if you are going to say you want to be accurate, you want to be transparent, and you want to be accountable to the Nigerian people.
Yes, free and fair.
Okay, you want to be free and fair to the Nigerian people. What happened to your principle?
When I was sworn in, I take allegiance to be faithful to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not to that principle. Not to that president.
Without the principal, you won't be in that position.
Agreed. So if he doesn't deem me fit to run that office, of course I should not be appointed. But if the president, in his own wisdom, have seen that I have all it takes to run that parastatal, then I should have the free hand to run it and ensure that I give the government what is required for them to take informed decisions when it comes to economic or other issues.
So are you saying that the 3.1% the UN is projecting is not sustainable for Nigeria?
Yeah, looking at what we have on ground, I wouldn't say it is sustainable. Okay. Fine, the UN, IMF, these are first-class institutions. They meant well for Africa. But, most of the time when you have outsiders trying to tell you what and what to do, they might not get it accurately. I'm not saying they're not doing it. At least it gives us a kind of, we use that figure to kind of guide us as to what we are doing.
I need to quickly chip this in. The UN is also saying that issues concerning public debt, the rising public debt, persistent inflation, as well as rising cost of living will pose a serious risk to the growth of the country's economy. These are macroeconomic issues,
yes,
okay, that are vicious. You can see them.
Of course.
We are feeling them.
Even the blind can see it.
Of course, we can see them. So with all of this in place, do you stand on your grounds that the projection made by the UN is still not tenable?
It's not tenable. Look at it this way.
Okay.
A projection is a projection.
Yes.
It's a guide.
Yes.
As to if you do this is where
you
are
will get
likely to
Very
be.
true.
Looking at the challenges on ground
Yes.
now, yes, I don't really see it. And that's why you can see that they had to tamper it. From the 3.1, they brought it down to about 2 point something or so. Looking at what they are now seeing on ground. we cannot have this kind of high public debt. Then, of course, insecurity is there.
Yeah.
It's getting worse on a daily basis. Then, fine. The government can still achieve it, but we need to redouble our effort. But looking at the way the government is going, the way we are seeing things, their response, I must tell you the truth. I don't think we can achieve even that 2.9 projections we're even talking about.
Well, let's leave that at the back of the table of the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, and his team, both the one at the Apex Bank and also the one at the Fiscal Authority to decide on that. Let's shift focus now to the next story now. Manufacturers are complaining that if the current exchange rates, as it stands now, continue to skyrocket, they will have no choice than to lay off workers. We're already complaining. There was rumor over the past week that the price of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, is likely to rise to 1,200 and above. You get that. And then again, the standard of living is deteriorating. Yeah. Nigerians are suffering. People are lamenting. There is hunger and anger everywhere. Now, if we are going to push in more workers into the labor market, what does this spell to the Nigerian economy?
Well, first of all,
the social now and the economy as a whole.
There is implication in terms of security now, because already security situation is at its lowest ebb. On a daily basis, Nigerians are being killed. Now, like you have said, there's a lot of hunger and hunger in the land. In fact, with due respect, this is one of the worst Christmas I've ever celebrated. The festivity. We all saw everything
that played out.
And of course, well, kudos to the government, though we are not even too sure. They saw it real. It was visible. You could feel it everywhere. And they now said, we need to do something. They came up with emergency palliative in the transport sector, which was not properly done, not properly coordinated. We saw some person say, they gave me some, say they didn't give me and all that, you know. Now, that shows that the government is aware and they know that something critical, urgent needs to be done. That's why they came out with that. In a way, I will congratulate them because at least it goes to show one thing, that the government is really feeling what the people are feeling. Yes, the pulse. Now, coming to the economic issues now, you find out that we just have to redouble our efforts for any meaningful growth for us to achieve in this 2024. We are talking about the Forex.
Yes.
And that if it continues this way, manufacturers have threatened. They don't need to threaten. They've already sent some people home. Yes.
And
some people have gone home already.
More international entities in the country are already closing up and they're evacuating the country.
I agree with you, but Blessed, let me tell you something. You know, in an economy like this, where things are very difficult, we also see some firms that are also navigating and also cashing out also.
All right.
We have seen some of them too. Okay, but I'm not holding forth for the government.
Okay.
But these companies that are leaving our country and they are going, I take for example now, the ones that we know. You've been operating in Nigeria for the past 30 years. And you bring all your raw material from abroad. It didn't occur to you and your research team to see that you could have research and develop to see whether some of those raw materials can be sourced here locally.
Nigeria is a cash cow for them.
You didn't even think about it because it was favoring them. You just get your subsidiary overseas, you ship in your material, you produce, and it was okay by them. But there are some of those companies who are still operating today who did what we call, is it backward integration?
Backward integration, yes.
And they were able to source some of those raw materials locally, and they are still in business today.
Okay.
So not only fought for federal government, I think some of these companies too also have to blame themselves for not taking advantage of the local resources we have here that can also serve as even a better substitute for some of their production. Well, let them go.
Okay.
We will continue to do our best. The federal government now creates that business environment that even your local producers, your local manufacturers, given that incentive, let them come. Because nobody will build our economy for us.
All right, let's wrap up now this segment with this story. Now, it's a big one, and we need to talk about it. Betta Edu, Minister of Humanitarian and Poverty Alleviation, has been accused of diverting 585 million naira to private accounts. The president has given a directive that for an investigation to commence on this, and then again, whosoever is found culprit of this fraud will be decisively punished. 2 questions I'm going to ask you. I'm
Yes.
putting you on the seat. 1, do you believe or do you trust in this administration ability to fight corruption to the standstill? And secondly, with the way and manner the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs has been managed over time, what would you say is in that ministry that's having this issue of a fraud allegation? Remember, during the past administration,
Yes.
also the minister of this same ministry also had issues, and then the EFCC is still on her case as well. Charles, what's your thought on this?
Okay, let me start with your first question. Whether this administration is
serious about fighting. Yeah, and we will see an end to this thing, issue.
Every administration will tell you they want to fight corruption. Of course, the institutions are there. It's not for you to tell us that you want to fight. The institutions are there to do their job. EFCC is there, ICPC is there, the police and special fraud unit is there, law enforcement are there. So if any person, anywhere at all, has done anything, whether economic crime or any type of fraud, the institutions are there to take care of it. It's not for the government telling us they are here to fight corruption. That is not our business.